Welcome to this episode of Steve's Horse Show. On this episode, we are going to try to teach you what you would give advice to somebody that maybe hasn't been around a horse ever in their life. I am with the founder of the House of Healing. They provide equine experiences to teenage girls, and what they do is they take people that have perhaps never been in front of someone before, in front of a horse before, and they teach them how to act around a horse and how horses can be a nice positive experience in their life. Kathy, explain the biggest challenge that you would have teaching someone to be around a horse.
So when we start out with our young ladies, we work with teenage girls.
Okay.
And most of them have never been around a horse before. So it's basic safety.
Gotcha.
Of how do you maneuver around this animal, position, ways to pick up their feet, very basic information, because when they come a little nervous. Most of them, not a little, a lot nervous about being around such a large animal they've not experienced that. And so we actually will utilize a fake horse that we have that will help them to get the feel of what that horse, how big that horse is, and start the interaction with them there. So they're not so intimidated when you put them in the arena with a horse, because the horse picks up on your emotions and the anxiety and that type of thing. So it's extremely helpful to just know the basics.
So if someone asks you to show them around your horses and you want a few things to teach them before maybe they're around your horses, the first tip you would probably say, Glenda here is the equine specialist at House of Healing, and the first thing that she teaches their students when they come out here is how to read a horse's temperament. So when you are dealing with these people that have never been around horses before, are they surprised by, I think a lot of us with horses might be like, well, yeah, ears back, they're mad at you or whatever. Do a lot of people not understand that?
No, they don't.
Gotcha. So what are some things you kind of teach them? You showed the book earlier about all the different kinds of ways to read the horse's temperament. What do you say that kind of helps them understand about the horse's temperament?
So horses' body communication is, 90% of their communication. So it's important that we're looking and watching their facial expression, their ears, their neck and eyes. All of that tells us what's happening, including the tail. So for example, this horse looks like he's alert and he's looking forward. Eyes are not huge, the head's not up too high. So he's just alert, but he's relaxed. And so I call those happy ears. So we have happy ears right now. So sometimes you're gonna see an ear this way and this way. Well, if someone's back here or another horse is back here, they're paying attention to you up front, but they're also paying attention to what's happening back here. So a lot of times you'll see both ears kind of toggling back and forth. And then another thing I want them to know is if like the head's down and the ears are kind of back but not against the neck, but the head's down and they're kind of droopy, they may not feel good, they may be tired. Those are all things that we need to know. So whenever we're teaching our girls how to read the horses and when they're grooming, they need to let me know that because maybe he's not having a good day today.
Yeah.
Most importantly though is the angry ears. So that would be the ears all the way pinned back to the neck.
Signs of frustration.
Yes.
Yeah.
The head's probably out, might be showing teeth, may not. But the head's probably down and out. The ears are all the way back. That's angry. Do not approach at that time. And the other thing about having people come to see your horses, they always want to bring apples and carrots, which we appreciate. But sometimes the horses are on a special diet, so you always need to ask the owner if that's okay, and then how do you want them to feed the snack? Because some people don't allow hand-fed snacks, even if you have your hand proper with it out. They want it put in a bucket.
What's the biggest thing that people are surprised at? I think with people that have been around horses and maybe, a lot of people, especially watching the show, would forget about the first things that they've thought of horses. You know, it's hard for people that have been around horses their entire life to remember what they thought at the beginning. What are some of the biggest surprises that people, when you're explaining this temperament, that people are like, oh, I didn't know that? Or, you know, what are some of the things that kind of surprise you about that?
Well, I think, especially with kids, they see this as a big puppy dog.
Yeah.
Because they're furry and
Yeah.
and so the first thing they want to do is come and just
Love on them.
you know,
Yeah.
put their hands all over the horse and be right in the middle of their zone. And it's
Yeah.
like, no.
They forget even that they're 1,000-pound animals that they could step on, even if it's an accident. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a 1,000-pound animal, and you need to respect that. I don't want you to be fearful, but be respectful of. And all of them have different circles, what I call a hula hoop space and boundaries, just like you and I. I'm a hugger, so my hula hoop space is pretty small. I like touch, but there's some kids, like some of my girls, that don't like touch. So their hula hoop space is like, this is close enough.
Yeah. And you need
Same
to be
with the
aware of that
horses.
with horses. Yeah.
Yeah, because like one of my boys, Eastwood, love him to death, and he's an introvert though, and he does not like all up in his space. And if I get too much in his space, what's so funny about him is he won't move his feet, but he'll politely turn his head to the side and kind of with his mouth. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm too close.
You're testing me.
And I'll come back up. So I try to respect the boundaries, and so that's teaching that of the girls as well,
Yeah.
which then translate also to human relationships.
Sure. So once you teach someone about a safe temperament and how to verify that a horse is approachable, then you can actually teach them how to approach a horse. What are some of the things that you tell your students on approaching horses?
So first off, their eyes are located on the side of their head. So you don't want to come right here at the forelock, which is right up here, and come straight on, because a lot of times that's when you get the head bounce up, because it surprises them. So I have the girls always put their hand right here and do this. Can you see that? No. Same with a horse. So let's come from the side, and we can pet on the face. But definitely, first time that I meet a horse that I don't know, I'm always going to pet around the shoulder first. I'm going to see
Gotcha.
how they accept touch.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got that going. And then the other thing, and this is what the girls always say, is he going to kick me? I've been told
And
not
you always
to
say,
walk.
I'm not sure.
Exactly. And so they're afraid to walk behind the horse. And we really do need to walk behind the horse, not under, because right here, if I were to walk under her neck, if she did spook and she comes up, I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to be right into the fence. So it's called hug the butt. So the more that you're close to the horse, the least resistance, and that way she also won't, she knows where I'm at. So I'm always having my hand on her, I'm talking to her, I'm letting her know that I'm coming around, and I'm going to be very close to the rear end. And always just letting her know where I am by touching her. Kind of like a massage for adults that have had massages.
Yeah.
They always have their hand on. So the closer you are to the rear, if she were to try and kick me, she's only going to get right here.
You're not in the wheelhouse.
If I'm here, that's in the striking zone.
Gotcha.
So if you can't pass way out here, then make sure you're right next to the rear end and close when
That's awesome.
passing.
The third and final step that you can teach someone to be around your horses for the first time, once they learn the temperament, once they learn how to approach a horse, everyone comes out and wants to see your horses because they want to interact with them in some way, right? So, if you don't want somebody, maybe it's a kid or maybe it's somebody that's very, very green around horses, and you don't want them riding your horse around, or maybe your horses aren't broke to ride, you guys start with grooming. And so kind of why do you start with grooming, and then what do you teach the students to do as far as grooming goes?
So grooming, we would have to groom them anyway, whether we're going to ride them or not.
Free labor, I get it.
Exactly. Well, it's also an opportunity for them as they're grooming to see if there are any fresh bites. because they're herded
Give
together.
the horse a once
So,
over, yeah.
Yeah, give the once over. Let me know if you see anything. Do you see any new fresh scratches, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So the first thing we always start off is with a curry brush.
Okay.
The curry brush, we go ahead and we just do a circular motion, and you can see that it's pulling his hair up, which is pulling the dirt up. And that feels good. It's like a massage for him.
Gotcha.
And then what we would do, of course I would do that all over the body, but I would take this brush, thank you, that was nice and relaxing. I would go ahead and flick it off. See how whenever I flick, all this dirt coming up? And that gets it off. So I teach them to flick it off, not just brush it, because if you do that, you're just gonna brush the dirt right back into the horse.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, we would like their mane and tail to remain pretty and in good shape. So we have a nice little hairbrush here. This is for the mane. I always tell them to start down low and then work your way up. It's like a girl with long hair. You don't ever start up here and just rake it through, because then you're gonna tear the hair out.
Gotcha.
Same with the horses. And this helps them with flies and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we would teach them about the feet. So the feet are very important. This is the foundation of the horse. And our horses have been trained that if I take my hand and I run it down his leg and I ask, Twister, thank you. Then I would pull it up. We teach them about the hoof and hoof health. This is the frog part of his foot, so we want to make sure that it's a little bit spongy, and he's due for a trim. But get it good and clean all the way down. Good job, buddy. We would do that around all of the feet and make sure that they're okay.
So is most things that you teach them, is anything surprising to them about the grooming, this portion of the grooming that maybe they've never seen before or anything like that? Or what do you think that they are surprised by the most?
The feet.
The feet, gotcha. Astonished.
They're probably more afraid of that than anything picking up a horse's foot.
Gotcha.
And you do have to be careful, and it is always supervised by an adult, because
Sure.
you can hurt them if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the one thing that scares them the most is picking their feet.
And that's something that if I was teaching somebody to be around a horse for the first time, or showing somebody a horse, up close for the first time, that I wouldn't think that would be cool to them to see. So that's kind of fun to know that, if I'm showing somebody that, you want to look at their foot or something like that, that's kind of a cool thing to be able to show somebody.
Well, and you want to make sure that all the rocks and stuff are out of there. They can get stone bruises, so their feet do need to be cleaned every day.
Yeah.
But, because it is the foundation of the horse.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so when I have new people, I'll show them, but I typically don't let them do it right off the bat.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Steve's Horse Show with House of Healing here in El Reno, Oklahoma. I hope that you will reach out to them if you have any questions for a person that wants to get more educated around horses in your life. Thank you for watching.